On a technical level, every Orthodox Christian is an athlete. So it's worth noting that when I say athlete in this video, we're talking specifically about sports professionals. So with that in mind, there are thousands of Orthodox athletes across dozens of disciplines, and to attempt to rate them is, quite frankly, silly. So, allow me to be silly. My only criteria is that they be at the top of their game and/or serve as positive examples of our Christian faith on the world stage. At number 5 comes basketball player Yiannis Antetokounmpo. At a whopping 6 feet 11 inches tall, it's no wonder he's called the Greek Freak. I'll be honest, I have zero knowledge about basketball, not even a passing interest. I don't think I've ever watched a second of it being played until I started writing the script. However, Yiannis is apparently widely regarded as one of the greatest power forwards of all time, whatever that is, as well as one of the greatest players of all time.
Your team is very good. I would say the Greek is a seriously good player. Do you agree?
Here are a bunch of stats I don't understand. Yiannis was born and raised in Athens to Nigerian parents. And during this time of unfettered mass migration into Europe, he stands as a shining example of a proper attempt at assimilation into a land that is not your own. Raised poor and hawking watches on the streets, he formed a strong relationship with the local parish priest and converted to the Orthodox Christian faith. Although he was born in Greece, under Greek law he did not automatically receive Greek citizenship and was effectively stateless for many of his formative years. However, he chose not to see himself as some sort of victim, and instead fostered patriotic attitudes towards Greece. He chose to be baptized on Ohi Day, an important national holiday commemorating the day Greece refused to allow Axis troops into their territory in World War II, thus drawing them into the conflict. Another example is the time a basketball fan asked Yiannis to sign a Greek flag. The athlete refused, stating that he would not desecrate the flag of Greece with his autograph. Even his surname is the Greek transliteration of the Nigerian original. In a modern Greece where countless natives are turning their backs on the faith, losing their very soul and identity in much the same way as the West has already done, Yiannis is an excellent reminder that anyone can choose to seek out Orthodox Christian virtue, which is indelibly imbued with Hellenic philosophy. As Father John Bacchus puts it, you don't have to be Greek to be a Hellene.
And tell me, who has more Greek in him, the Greek or me? I think we have about the same.
At number 4 comes Ivan Provorov, a defenseman for the Philadelphia Flyers hockey team. I'm not too concerned about presenting his numbers or anything. Apparently he's a very competent player. What I'd like to bring up is the time he was presented with an opportunity to stand firmly in his faith or to bend the knee to degeneracy and evil. He chose the former option, and he did so humbly and with flying colors. The way he chooses to respond here serves as an excellent example for the rest of us. I'll shut up and let the newsreel do the talking.
A strange turn of events before the Flyers hosted the Anaheim Ducks tonight. The team wore pride jerseys during warm-ups to celebrate the LGBTQ+ community. However, defenseman Ivan Provorov would not join them on the ice, citing his Russian Orthodox beliefs. Here's what he said after the game.
Yeah, I respect everybody, and I respect everybody's choices. My choice is to stay true to myself and my religion. That's all I'm going to say.
Enough said. At number 3, we've got to put boxer Oleksandr Usyk. A tremendous and ferocious fighter, he is currently the heavyweight boxing champion of the world and defeated the legendary Tyson Fury twice in 2024. He has a perfect record of 23-0. Usyk hails from the great lands of the Ukraine. Responding to a question about the role of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church during these difficult times of war, Usyk stated, "I am an Orthodox Christian. That's it. I attend the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. I believe in God. I go to this church for salvation and will continue to do so." He is a man who wears his Orthodox faith on his sleeve. Literally. He and his corner hold up this banner, and you can see him wearing the same inscription on a shirt in his last fight with Fury. In case your Greek is as terrible as mine, I'll translate. It reads, "Orthodoxy or death." In today's world of ambiguity and flimsiness, such a hardcore statement can only be described as refreshing. He kneels in his corner to make the sign of the cross. He would venerate the cross between every single round of his matches. This actually caused some controversy, as some accused Usyk of using an inhaler when they saw him kissing the cross during fights. Sounds like a lot of cope, but nonetheless new regulations were forged and Usyk was ultimately banned from venerating the cross between rounds. In this case, he decided to render unto Caesar and submit to authority. In his last fight against Fury, he venerated his cross, which was gifted to him by the elder of a Greek monastery, one last time before the match began, handing it off to one of his cornermen, who wore it until the end of the match when it was immediately returned to the victorious fighter. With so many secular young men out there seeking structure and discipline, it's highly likely that at least a few have seen Usyk's overt displays of faith and looked into orthodoxy as a result. There are many people who dislike Usyk for various reasons, including some of the things he said, and that's fine. At the end of the day, only God sees the heart. But for Usyk's benefit, I'd like to finish with one more of his own statements. "You will know me not by words, but by fruits. What you see does not mean that's all there is, and what you don't see doesn't mean it isn't there. We also don't see the wind, and I can't see the love of each of you here. However, I feel the prayer of monks praying for me in the ring." Number 2 will go to none other than the legendary Novak Djokovic. Hailing from beautiful Serbia, Djokovic holds a record 24 Grand Slam men's singles titles, as well as the record for most Australian Open men's singles victories at 10, and the record for the most weeks spent in the number 1 spot at 428. This is a hot topic, and many people love to argue the point and debate the semantics of it, but objectively, this makes Novak Djokovic the greatest tennis player of all time. But despite all these accolades and awards, Djokovic says the most important award he has ever received is the Order of Saint Sava, bestowed upon him by the Serbian Orthodox Church, for, in their words, active love towards Mother Church, particularly in showing fervent and persistent support of the Serbian people and the sanctuaries of our Holy Church. He has personally financed the renovation of church buildings in Serbia, Kosovo, and France. The affection that many Orthodox have for this athlete became apparent during one of the most trying times of his career. During that whole corona thing, Djokovic spoke out against mandatory vaccination, saying that he was never against vaccinations themselves, but always supported the freedom to choose what you put into your body. It would seem that this was the one time that liberal degenerates did not like to hear the phrase, "my body, my choice." Despite media backlash, Djokovic stuck with his conscience, and when travelling to Australia for the Australian Open, ended up being detained by the authorities for being unvaccinated. His brief detention took place over old calendar Christmas, and the Australian authorities refused to even allow a priest to come to him. In solidarity with the athlete, Orthodox Serbs and Australians organised prayer services for him. He was soon deported and was also barred from participating in tennis matches in the US for the rest of that year. Most people would not be willing to take that kind of financial and professional hit for their beliefs, especially at the peak of their careers. But the Serbs stood strong. Djokovic has always highlighted the fact that the source of his unyielding determination is his Christian faith, which always gives him strength to overcome the hardest challenges, both on and off the court. He also gets bonus points for publicly stating that he doesn't allow his young children to own or use smartphones. As the youth would say, based. The number 1 spot goes to Saint Nestor of Thessaloniki. It makes sense to list an actual saint in our top spot. It also brings our account of athletes full circle, right back to earliest Christianity. The early 4th century life of Saint Nestor shows that physical fitness and prowess is as old as the Church itself, and most poignantly, in the case of this saint, shows how spiritual fitness can manifest itself in a physical context and bring not only a physical victory, but the chance of the greatest of spiritual crowns, that of martyrdom. Extremely unironically, Saint Nestor was young, strong, and noted for his handsomeness. But he was not just a pretty face. Saint Nestor was also wise enough to defer to God and his saints. The Emperor Maximian came to Thessaloniki, explicitly to set up an arena where his gigantic gladiator champion Leos would fight Christians. Of course, none of them stood a chance against the renowned Leos. They weren't supposed to, as the emperor did not only want to rid the empire of Christians, he also wanted to entertain his pagan populace in service of his own popularity.
Are you not entertained?
The arena built for this purpose was a raised platform with spears planted below. Leos would toy with his Christian opponents like a cat with a mouse, and would mock them mercilessly as he inevitably overcame them, before throwing them down to the spears below, where their broken bodies would finally bleed to death in the burning sun. Nestor disdained the emperor's gleeful pride during these events, and knowing the miraculous accounts of the renowned Saint Demetrios, he went to see the saint in prison. That's right, the Demetrios, patron saint of soldiers. Prostrating before Saint Demetrios, Nestor begged for his blessing to face the gladiator Leos in the arena. Saint Demetrios sealed Nestor with the cross and prophesied his victory, and that he would be martyred for Christ. Sallying forth, Nestor immediately demanded to face the pagan gladiator, and was given the chance. He prayed that the god of Demetrios would give him victory. In what must be the biggest upset in the history of the arena, Nestor swiftly overcame Leos, running him through with his blade. Before throwing the much larger man onto the spears below, in full view of the shocked emperor. I'd give anything to see his face. In the classic pagan spirit of fair play, Saint Nestor was then immediately executed, martyred on the spot. This was an unforgettable display of physical and spiritual fitness working to the glory of God. Saint Nestor is the Orthodox patron saint of wrestlers, and one of a handful of patron saints of athletes. Was he technically a professional athlete? No, but it's my video, so he gets #1. Deal with it.
Ascetic Aesthetic. Orthodox Christian Fitness.